Okay. So this is the, I don't know which number meeting of the advanced course of logotherapy dream interpretation that Pan will guide us through. Okay, so take it away, Pan. Is that a good enough introduction?
Yes, thank you. So I just need to know what to do. Can I click on share screen? I think.
Yes.
Oops, that didn't work. Oh, there. Okay, so there we go. Can you all
Oh,
see
that's my
that?
baby.
Okay, so that's the title screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the next screen, I have the theory of interpretation of dreams, which I'm not going to read to you all. I'll send you the notes afterwards, and if anybody else watches this, they can pause on that to see it. Okay. Lana's, I'm going to always start off a little bit nervous, so just excuse me. Your reoccurring dream every 3 to 4 months for the past 10 years, and you find it very disturbing. So I will read through this because it's so short. The dream is always the same. My now ex-husband and I are looking for our son because he has been kidnapped. We have other people looking, and I take my ex-husband to a different room, and we're standing there alone. He's a pretty big guy. I'm 5 foot tall, and he's about 6 feet. A big guy. In a dream, I stand in front of him, very close, and I look up at his eyes and tell him, Patrick, listen to me very carefully. Listen to me. I'm going to go to the next room. I'm going to shoot myself. I'm going to separate from my body, and I'm going to go looking for Benjamin, and I will find him, and I will come back and tell you that I found him, and let you know where he is at. And I need you to go get him. Do you understand me? Pay attention to any possible communication from me, because I will find him, and I will communicate with you where he is at. Do you understand? He looks at me the whole time, listens, and nods yes. And that's how the dream ends. Um, And then you mentioned also, I do have to mention that my ex-husband is a federal police. I don't know if that's significant or not. Okay, so some of Lana's history, as summarized. Lana had experienced several traumatic close relationship losses when she was a child, one being the loss of her father when she was 9 years old. As a child, she didn't understand why these people she loved and needed went away. This left her with feelings of abandonment, and as a result, she has struggled with PTSD. Later, at the age of 41 years, when she was giving birth to her only child, completely exhausted after 21 hours of labor, complications set in when her baby became lodged in the birth canal and their lives were threatened. They almost died. An emergency cesarean was done, and as the medical team was delivering Lana's son, she felt as though they were kidnapping him. Because Lana was not mobile at the time due to the medical complications, she was separated from her baby for 5 days until while he was in the NICU, sorry, in an incubator, receiving ultraviolet light treatment for severe jaundice. His father and Lana's mom were able to be with him over that time. I just want to mention quickly that please don't interrupt. Lana, you're welcome to interrupt at any time, and Batcha also being your trainer, because this is walking on sacred ground when we share in a person's dream interpretation. So we can discuss everything at the end. Okay, so having some history on the dreamer's past and the here and now of her current life circumstances can be very helpful and necessary. Background information often helps to make sense of the dream. Lana's shared with me her therapy session where she described to her therapist, and the therapist I think did pretty well there, what she had been through in her past, and that helped to answer a lot of questions pertaining to her, that helped me to answer a lot of questions pertaining to her reoccurring dream. When I first looked at her dream, I had many questions, but once I understood her history and read through the session, many answers to why she was dreaming the dream repeatedly for the past 10 years were immediately revealed. Keep in mind, though, that only the dreamer herself will know the true answers to her own unique dream and the meaning message of that dream. The therapist can only assist in interpreting the dream, working together with her in helping her to come to her own answers for it. So, Lana, because you and I haven't had time to work together on your dream, I'm only going on what I believe I can see in it, connecting with your history. If at any time you would like to interject, please do. Okay, so I'm now going to attempt a logotherapy dream interpretation on Lana's reoccurring dream. So in the dream, you say, it's been a reoccurring dream for 10 years, which Lana dreamed approximately every 3 to 4 months, and she describes it as a disturbing dream. So a question a therapist might ask might be, at the time when you had this dream over the years, each time, can you remember if you were feeling particularly insecure and stressed out during those times, or lost and alone due to some difficulty you were going through or facing in your real world at the time? Would you like to respond to that? And if not, it's fine. Lana?
Probably I'm always worried about Benjamin, and I've always kind of not fully trusted his father with him, to be honest. Him and I have absolutely different, not only cultural, but just kind of upbringing backgrounds. He grew up on a farm in southern Illinois where safety was never really the issue. They never locked doors, never really needed to. His parents were alcoholics, so they were always drinking, and him and his brother were kind of on their own. So for him, um, it wasn't really, although he's a cop, but he did never really considered um, that safety is priority. Well, while I grew up in a whole other society, being growing up as a Jewish child in the Soviet Russia and having so many losses in our personal life when some very significant people left and then they never came back because they died. That created this hypervigilance around safety.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for that. That does help. Okay. Okay. So I feel strongly that this dream is all about that very moment in time when you were going through your C-section. You were so exhausted and in extreme shock when your son was removed from you and immediately taken away to the NICU because he wasn't breathing. You didn't even get to see him or hold him first, and your husband at the time never got to cut the baby's cord. And on top of that, you were also in a critical condition at the time and needed your own life to be saved. You describe further in the therapy session, they took him from me, and my brain said he was kidnapped, and that was the moment when it made everything traumatic. The fact that your dream is reoccurring shows me that the trauma you experienced on that day has never been properly faced or dealt with, and has therefore been replaying over and over in your mind, even if only on a subconscious level through your dreams. And of course, it is connected to your past as well. The trauma was exaggerated because of your past. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little bit lost now for a second. Okay, so that's what I was responding to. Sorry, I do this sort of thing when I get a bit nervous. Yeah, so my now ex-husband and I were looking for my son because he has been kidnapped, and that's where I feel strongly that this is connected to that day that you went through the C-section. Okay. Right, now we're on to this one. We have other people looking, and I take my ex-husband to a different room, and we're standing there alone. He's a pretty big guy. I'm 5 feet tall, and he's about 6 feet, a big guy. So a question a therapist might ask, Lana, do you think that this was the moment, the very impersonal moment when all the medical staff were frantically rushing around trying to save you and your baby's life? And it's in that moment that you're desperately looking to your husband at the time for his reassuring help. You have surely by then emotionally disconnected and separated yourself from the reality of what's going on with all the people in the room as you connect solely with your husband. The only semblance of sanity and reality you have left to grasp onto right then in that moment. You mention how big he is and how short you are in comparison. You're looking up to him with the remaining energy you have. You're pleading for him to help find and rescue your baby, to keep him safe and bring him home to you both. You mention also that your ex-husband is federal police. And I do believe that this is significant because along with his size, along with this and his size, it helped you to feel somewhat reassured and safer in his presence then. Is it possible that while you were totally physically unable to do anything to save your son in that moment, you trusted and believed in that your husband would be know what to do? You were looking to him in desperation for his strength to reassure you and bring you the sense of peace you needed, something to hold on to, something that would promote a will to live in you at that time of anguish and suffering that was so searing that you felt you might die. You don't need to answer that. Okay. In the dream, I stand right in front of him, very close, and I look up in his eyes and I tell him, Patrick, listen to me very carefully. Listen to me. I'm going to go to the next room. I'm going to shoot myself. I'm going to separate my body from my body, and I'm going to go looking for Benjamin, and I will find him, and I will come back and tell you that I found him and let you know where he is at. And I need you to go and get him. Do you understand me? Pay attention to any possible communication from me, because I will find him. I will communicate with you where he is at. Do you understand? So going back to that awful moment in time, Lana, would you agree that you were aware that you were in a very serious condition and maybe even close to death? I think so. Huh? You even mention in your therapy session that even before the decision to do the C-section was made, after many exhausting hours of labor, while the doctor was still deciding what to do and was turning up the labor medications, trying to force the delivery of your baby, you said to your husband, I don't remember much from that point. You said, I should say, I don't remember much from that point on. The only thing I do remember is telling my husband, don't put our cats in a shelter, because somehow my brain was thinking, I'm going to die. Don't get rid of the cats. So in my mind, somehow I was still worrying about those cats. Can you see how this part of your dream, where you've pulled your husband aside to get your desperately pleading message across to him, tells of the depth of your shattered emotional state at that time and how critical your condition really was? The dreadful exhaustion, the horror of your son's birth not being a peaceful time for you and your husband, and how you were agonizing under the worst of suffering just then, being sucked away by mental and physical exhaustion into another plane of being, yet still desperately clinging to the one person who you trusted and believed in that moment in time, that he would be able to make it all right. Maybe a sense of, if I die now, I will find a way to help you find our son, because I know and trust that you will be looking for him too. You somehow knew and believed that not even death could separate you from those you loved. You know what I got from this, Lana? That in that moment, that no matter what, you were not about to give up on your son or your husband, that your love is so pure and so profound and truly a mighty force to be recognized, reckoned with. Okay.
Can I add something to this?
Yes.
So there's another piece of my background that could possibly help you see this, is that my hobby is paranormal research. And so I do a lot of work with a spirit, and I do a lot of work with souls that are trapped, help them release. I do work with a yeah, and so I also have a belief that if people listen very carefully, they can receive a message. And so part of what I know is that somehow I always tell Benjamin that I am not worried about him dying. I'm only worried about him being hurt, because if he is hurt and he has permanent damage, it would be more harmful because I would have to live with him and feel his pain. If he is dead, I will follow him. So I don't know if that could add to you seeing it in a different light, or it would what you said is correct, but I wonder if what I just kind of added could kind of be seen maybe a little bit either
Yes.
differently or add something to it.
Yes, I do think it could, because I very much believe in the other side, and I've sat with people that are dying. I know that there are spirits with us when that happens. So you found some kind of comfort in that moment because of that as well, because of what you believe. So that would have also gone a long way to help. And even the anesthetist who couldn't anesthetize you was comforting to you. And so you drew on all these for your strength to get through that moment in time. So yes, yeah, that does help a lot.
Okay.
Okay. In your dream, you say he looks at me the whole time, listening, and nods yes, and that's how the dream ends. So I'll continue with the theme that I had, and you can just correct me if you need. I believe that your husband must have been a great strength to you at that moment. In your dream, he's making eye contact, he's listening to you, also while he's nodding yes. This part of your dream is very significant. Your physical as well as your emotional state was severely compromised. And when it was indeed possible that your life could have easily slipped away due to the shock and the exhaustion your body and mind had been through, you were given hope right there and then, and probably also because of what you believe, more than likely so. And so, sometimes when some semblance of hope is all we have left to cling to, the resulting faith and the will to live can bring the peace and strength we need, enough to pull us through the worst of storms and give us a reason to live and go on. So, Lana, you made it. And so did your son. Your son, you both made it. And it's just so commendable when I consider what you went through on that day. You Anyway, 5 days after his birth, Lana finally got to hold her baby boy for the first time. Due to the postpartum depression which had developed as a result of all she had been through during his birth, it took Lana a few months to feel any connection to her son, which is understandable due to the emotional numbing effects of all that she had been through and the medication that had been prescribed for her depression. So it's very important to note that postpartum depression is a mood disorder that often causes deeply intense feelings of grief and anxiety, a kind of emptiness and numbness which can render a mother exhausted and struggling to function normally with day-to-day chores, expectations, and activities. And this can go on for weeks after the birth of her baby. This can make it difficult for the mother to bond normally with her baby. Often, the mother is left feeling as if she is a failure, worthless, and shrouded in shame and guilt. And I've been through this myself, Lana, and I know what it feels like. You have to be through it, go through it to understand. It's a terrible, terrible thing. So, a quote by Dr. Frankl, an abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation is normal behavior. Okay. So Lana eventually found her way back to herself. And from what I've picked up from all that I've read and the short interaction with Lana, her son has thrived as the loving and nurturing mother. And she's become the loving and nurturing mother she's always dreamed of being. From all that I've read in preparation for this presentation, it is evident that Lana has developed a well-rounded, close relationship with her son, who she dearly loves and describes as a strong and brave 13-year-old who can hold his own in any situation. Okay, so that's it, Lana, and if there's anything you want to say, you can say it now before the discussion begins. There we go. Yeah. Did you want to say anything, Lana?
Thank you for your hard work with this. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Give it over to you, Butcher.
You've really said everything that I might have thought to say as well. I think I would only add that that part where, you know, your husband, he said he would, you told him to go and shoot himself, and then he'll be able to find Benjamin. So it's like I'm just thinking about the
Butcher?
yeah.
No, it was to shoot herself.
That was her saying to her husband that she will go and shoot herself and come back and help him to find her son.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you talked about your connection to paranormal and connection to those kinds of things, and I just think that there's nothing that's out of reach. You know, that's the feeling that I got. You know, that's it's a very empowering feeling that everything is possible. And when it comes to finding where someone is, the feeling of you don't know where he is taken care of. It's that fear that how am I going to find him if he's been kidnapped and I haven't seen him for many days or who knows how long, but then there's something there's like a root out of that. You know, there's this window, I don't know how to put it. There's something that connects you to, you feel very strongly that soul level of connection that can't be taken away from you. That's the one thing that can't be taken away from you. And so that's completely flies in the face of the idea that he was taken away, he was kidnapped. No, he can't be kidnapped. You know, he'll be found.
Yeah.
Aviva?
Yeah, I was letting other people talk. Sorry. Yeah, we discussed this a few weeks ago, actually, I think. There's a lot in the dream, and as soon as I heard about the birth, I immediately connected it. And a new thought I had was you keep mentioning also previously your husband's size and his work. Was he a police officer when you met him?
Yeah.
So I would like to pose the question, which you don't have to answer, that part, if not a lot, of the attraction towards him is safety and protection, both with size and his profession connected to manliness being a protector. Okay, I'm talking about instincts connected to the past. You know, in the dream and in the birth, you mentioned kidnapped. That is basically being taken away. What I said to Lana when we spoke was, when Benjamin was inside, she had control. also with PTSD and trauma, you have to have control, because there's either you have control or you have no control. So when he was inside, she had control. She could look after him. It was just her. It was just him. And, you know, she knew when the birth would be. Okay, can deal with that. But then it wasn't that. It was something else. You know, it was a cesarean. Okay, but then it wasn't the cesarean. It was a traumatic birth. So the triggers there, obviously, great amount of physical, somatic and psychic and noetic trauma from the actual birth event, but also again triggering the PTSD, the childhood trauma of someone I love is being taken away. What do I know when someone is taken away or goes away? They die, they don't come back. And she couldn't do anything about it. So she doesn't trust anybody. Again, I'm not saying this is what she's told me. This is my opinion. She doesn't trust anybody, but if she has to trust somebody, it's the big police guy who is the protector, and he's better than nothing. So, and that's also, you know, in the dream. So she turns to him, and it's also a loss of control because I only trust me, but I can't do anything. So I have to put it in the hand of someone that I don't really trust, but I trust more than anyone else. And, you know, the postpartum, yeah, it's natural, whatever, but it's more so when you think about the trauma and the PTSD. With the dream, I also said, you know, when did it start and all that, and I gave her some suggestions what to do when she has the dream. And I don't know if that's helped. We've not really followed up. And you know, like you said, Pan, you know, people are so blind to anything apart from this life. You know, death is the most awful thing, and life. But to someone like Lana and also me, and what we spoke about last week, we're not a body, we're a spirit that is living in a body in this time, which we'll call life on Earth. So, you know, to kill ourselves, to go somewhere else is not a big deal, especially, I'm not saying Lana, I'm saying me or someone with trauma, when you have so much suffering in this life. And the only reason you can bear the suffering is because of your loved one, which for her is Benjamin, for me is my daughter. And if they're not around, well, I'm not going to put up with this. But it's not like I'll kill me and I'll kill you. It's I value his life, his safety, and I'll do anything. I'll go there. I don't care. And I know that when I'm in spirit, I can't go and physically bring him back, but I can tell someone who can. And I can watch over him from there, but not even that far. Now's the situation. Kill myself, go to spirit, find him. What happens after, happens after. And also the pleading with him is the same as it was with the cesarean. You know, I can't physically protect him. I can't you have to do it. But please listen, because I don't actually believe you can do it, and I don't actually have my trust in you, but I need it. I need to at this moment. So yeah, I think that's about covered it. Did the methods work that I told you, if you remember them?
And you also said, remember, which made a lot of sense, is that because my dreams started around when Benjamin turned 3.
Oh, yeah,
and you
yeah.
said that before 3, I had
Excellent.
more control. And at 3, he became more of that his own person, right? And you guys would probably agree with that. And then so I had to give him more of that independence. And that's when the dreams actually started, because at 3, it was more of that something could actually, although the only 3 people that were always taking care of him and no one else was trusted was me, his dad, and my mom. That was it. There was no one else that we trusted with him.
But 3 is the age also neurologically when things change and emotionally.
Yes.
And I said also when the child's a baby, all you have to do is keep them breathing, right? And whole. And it's your time with the baby. I'm the mother of a baby. A baby is someone who needs protection, and I can protect them. But as Lana said, but when it starts to be, when the kid starts to be a toddler, the world comes in. And the world is a bad place. The world is a dangerous place. And the world takes away my
Especially
control.
for those of us with PTSD, right? It's a dangerous
Exactly. For
place.
people with trauma and PTSD, that
Mhm.
is the default. The world is dangerous. Bad things do happen. Bad things can happen. If they don't, I'm
Mhm.
surprised and grateful. But if they do, well, I expected it. So, the end.
Thanks, Lana, for sharing, and thanks, Pam,
Hey,
for
Brenda.
interpreting. Yeah, and thanks for sharing, Lana, so vulnerably. And I'm really starting from this and the other session, other times classes, getting a feel of you and your life. And the what comes up for me is something that there is something positive in it, in that, like, you don't say at the end if Benjamin has been found. Like, that doesn't happen in the dream, whether you find him or not.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if when you wake up and you realize, oh, Benjamin is here and everything is okay, that there's some kind of relief in that, like after, like when you realize, oh, it was a dream, and actually things are okay in life, and I've got through these different episodes, or I've got through difficult times. If there's any relief after, when you go, oh, okay, Benjamin's okay, and um, because maybe in
You
real
know,
life, yeah, go ahead.
Brenda, that's of course is a therapist question, right? That's a it's no, it's never that kind of, oh my gosh, it was just a dream. There's always the sense of, um it's kind of that internal anxiety of this could happen, right? This
Mhm.
this this kind of sense of the what if,
Right.
of this kind of internal hypervigilance. I'm always worried. As you know, America is known for school shootings. I'm every day he goes to school, I'm thinking the what ifs. It's always on my mind. It's always there that something in this space, in this world that we live in here in this country, that's going to go wrong. So it's a really good question. And no, it's never, oh thank God it's just a dream. It's just kind of ongoing. But like I said, I'm more worried if he gets hurt and has to live in pain than if something happens and he's dead. Because I even tell him, Benjamin, if something happens to you and you're dead, don't go into the light, hang on, wait for me, I'm coming, right? I'm coming, just I'm following, because I'm always open. See, I was telling Pan that I see my life as a social experiment, and I'm always open about what's happened to me and what my thoughts are, because if someone can benefit from that and make their life more better because of my experience, I feel privileged if someone can take it and do something better for themselves. And I'm
Mhm.
always open. If something happens to my son and he dies, I will die. Whatever way that happens, I am going. And so he is aware that if something happens to him and he dies, hey, just hold on, don't go, I'm coming. So I know it's weird, and maybe in some way it's fucked up, right? To say that if my son, I don't have anxiety about him dying because I know I'm coming, but I have anxiety about him being hurt. I think having to live with some physical or emotional pain for life, because I will feel it and I will have to carry that and I will have to feel his pain and not know how to fix it for him.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's my fear.
Yeah. I also got from it somehow, and from what you've spoken about, and I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm impressed that you have a strong relationship with your ex-husband too, like
Yes.
and that there is some kind of feeling there, maybe that he will be there, or that you can count on him. And that sort of came through in the dream, that he was looking at you and he said yes. And so that you do have someone in the world who's also looking out for Benjamin. And
Yes.
yeah, so that if that can give some kind of, okay, there, that Benjamin's here in a dangerous world, but
Mhm.
there is my ex-husband and there is me, and I've got an
Mhm.
enormous amount of love for my son that he knows about,
Mhm.
and that you're doing everything possible for
Mhm.
him. as far as we can as a parent or as a human who cares
Yes,
about someone. And yeah,
yes.
and the dream when it comes, that knowing that you'll probably have it again because it's recurring. Uh, so to try and go, okay, well, maybe you're going to move through it and go, okay, there is possibility that things can be okay. Like when you wake up and go, oh, okay, it is okay. So to lean into the good things as well, I guess is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What I told, connected to that, what I told Lana to do is two options. One is to have a notepad by the bed, and because Lana needs control and to do something. Because if you do something, you have control. So I said
Right.
either have a notepad with a list of things or write something down, things that she can use or do to protect Benjamin. Okay, because then she's doing something. Because the dream is born of, you know, bad stuff, being out of control, being unable to protect him. So this was to negate the fact that you can't protect him to what you that you can protect him. And also, yeah, you know, something can happen to everybody. But you can either live your life focusing on that or saying, well, you
Mm-hmm.
know, if it happens, it happens. What can I do? I can do X, Y, Z to protect him. And that's what I suggested that you do, because also, you know, when you write down, it's more of a connection, spiritual connection.
Mm-hmm. And just
Mm-hmm.
on from that, Aviva, I feel like it's like, yeah, it's your response to it, like the way that Frankl says, well, what things happen to us, we have a choice here. How are we going to respond to it? What responsibility are we going to take in the face of this?
And
Mm-hmm.
just the meaning of death, you know, which is plays a big part in both the dream and in your fears in life. That Frankel says you can turn that around as part of the tragic triad, that you can turn it
Mm-hmm.
into something meaningful. And the meaning is usually you live your life more fully because of it, because you're aware of that in the background. And you also feel the preciousness of the people that in your life that have died or who could die. And and in this case, you know, that just that picture of Benjamin on you at the end is so precious, and it so speaks to that of that's it's all about love. Like it's like it sounds like the dream is about death, but it's really all about love.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Prime example of self-transcendence.
Yeah.
I
You
wanted
wanted to
to,
say
Beautiful.
something, Pan? You can unmute.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention before I forget that it's been my experience when we've done dream interpretations, that if you find the meaning message of your dream, if you feel that you've unraveled it properly, that it's made sense to you, you might actually never have that dream again.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
in all cases so far, nobody's ever had that dream again. But you might have a new dream because you've still got fears in that. But whatever that new dream is, look for the meaning message in it. Try and
Mm-hmm.
work out what that dream means to you in the here and now of your life when you have the dream and why you're having it. Take all the symbols together and see what the symbols are telling you, etc. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That makes perfect sense. Thank you so much. Thanks, you guys. That really helps.
Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate all of you, as
a
always.
couple more people wanted to say something, so
yes, if I can say,
yeah.
Lana,
Hey, Dorota.
something.
Yes, yes, please.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I just made a quick research in internet regarding school shooting in the United States
Mm-hmm.
between 2000 and 2022. And it said that 131 kids were killed.
Yes.
So it means that it's the whole population age between 5 and 17, it's around 53, 56 millions of kids. It means
Yes.
for me that it's kind of actually almost impossible that something would happen to you, to your son, because it means that it's 6 kids per year. Yeah.
But that's logic. That's
Yeah,
logic.
but
Her fear is the
I know. But what about to show different perspective? And I know that it's trauma, and Lana is very deep in her trauma. But how about to show different perspective and show to look not only from one angle, but also from different angles?
Yes, and absolutely, and you're right. And one thing that happens here is that one thing that helps feel kind of ground in that is that every 3 months, all the schools have training on with the police. All the schools have this training on active shooter, so all the kids participate in that. They know what to do, they know what needs to happen. And every year, my son, being a son of a police officer and being my son, he when he has to meet new teachers, he goes in the classroom, he introduces himself, and he says, if we have a school shooter, I will be the one helping you and assisting with moving, because every classroom has a big cabinet, right? A big filing cabinet. And if there's a school shooter, the filing cabinet is supposed to go in front of the door, right, to block it. So he always tells the teacher, I will be helping you move the cabinet and getting everybody out of the window. And I always joke with him, it's a bad joke, so don't think I'm an asshole. But I always say, Benjamin, when you help kids out of the window, leave the fat kid behind, because you need to get all the skinny kids out. Don't hate me. It's just a bad joke, but this is how you cope when you have trauma, right? You say stupid shit. But again, one thing that really helps me deal with this is that I know that he's not going to freeze, because he knows how to advocate for himself, and he knows what to do. The reason he knows what to do is because we constantly train him. For example, him and I every summer I throw him in the trunk of my car, and then I tell him, okay, get yourself out.
Wow.
Because I'm
Wow.
crazy, because I'm nuts, I'm crazy. And I tell him, okay, Benjamin, you're in the trunk of my car now, figure out, because there's newer cars, they have these latches that you can figure out how to get out. I know this is overboard, but I rather my son is not sheltered, and thinks the world is a wonderful place, than he is able to save himself and possibly help somebody else. um and again, I know this is probably it's all trauma based, because we parent from the eyes of our own trauma. With that being said, I think I shared before, we live in an area with 3% of Palestinian population. Just yesterday, his um principal called me, and he said that there was an incident. This Palestinian girl in school told him, hey, Benjamin, I know your parents are divorced, and you deserve it because you're a Jew. Well, Benjamin looked at her and said, aren't your parents cousins? Well, the girl got detention, he didn't, and because the principal said what she said is inappropriate, we stand against it. And I was kind of laughing. I said, well, thanks for taking care of that. But again, my job is to make him feel that he is not a victim and that he can advocate for himself. And I'm sorry, Dorota, I kind of went, too far into, but yes, you're absolutely right. I try to kind of, he knows what he needs to do, basically, what I'm saying. Yes.
That's the positive that comes out of the trauma. That's what we
Yes.
say, like, despite the worst kind of tragedy and terrible and harsh situations, something at the same time you can find something good, and so he will be an advocate for himself. He will know, going out into the world, he will be the one who helps everybody else, and know
Except for
what to
the
do.
black kids.
He won't be this like helpless, and I don't know what to do, because you've made him that. You've helped build him in that way.
Lana,
It's
just
exhausting.
I wanted to say what really jumped out at me with your dream was the beauty of your spirit. It was almost like your spirit speaking to you and saying your love is so transcendent, it's so strong that it's never going to end. And that for me, that there's no fear of death in the depth, not even the magnitude of that love. And for me, it was just, I'm not negating the trauma in any way. Believe me, it's been 2 sessions of this, and I listened to it and I'm still like, oh my gosh, I cannot even imagine. But I just hear your spirit so strongly saying to you that your love is so strong, it overrides everything. That's that it just came out so strong. The lack of the fear of death, you'd do anything for it. You'd even trust other people in that journey. And that's amazing. It's just that just shines out.
And our spirit cannot be harmed, right? No matter what trauma, no matter what happens to us, our spirit cannot be harmed. It will always survive no matter what. So you're absolutely right.
Oh.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah.
Same.
Anna, you wanted to say something, I think.
Sorry, my head is spinning. First, Pen did dream translation, what she was saying to me. I was her client aside from the class, and it released me from the dream, which was incredible. You didn't even tell me at the time, Pen, that that's possibility. I read that interpretation several times, and then there was an action that I took after. It was a little different, and I followed Pen's advice and did exactly what she said to do. Well, she didn't tell me to do it. She said that's what she would do. She would encourage me. And 2 weeks later, I realized that I'm done with the dream. It was incredible. It still blows my mind. So I love your work. I respect it beyond, I'm telling everybody. And yes, with Lena's dream, when I read it at home, I mean, it's so powerful. I mean, my whole body was like in this weird goosebumps with that. And I think the thing is here that it's a dream. So mixing it with reality, I mean, yes, it comes from, but I think what Penn is doing is relate, because it's a dream, and sometimes in the dreams we're getting a message that we can't with all the knowledge. And I think Lana is so smart that a lot of times with people like her who are at that level, that is almost their worst enemy, because she almost knows too much. So she puts like that's how, I don't even know how to put it, but like the easiest way to say, like that can be your worst enemy, that you are that way. But the love from it, and what I took from it is kind of what Penn said, that I think that dream passively gives you confirmation that you can actually relax about Benjamin. Because I'm wondering if the dream is a message for you that Benjamin is ultimately safe. So that dream is almost telling you you can let go. And I wonder if it's gonna keep coming until it clicks. That somebody's trying to tell me that, look, even when they took him away, even then in real life, I disagree with my ex-husband's ways of, then in the dream, I still went to him. I said that as a team, we'll figure it out. So I wonder if the dream is gonna keep coming until you actually make peace with it, that you can, that those were kind of my thoughts. Yeah. But thank you for sharing. I mean,
and Anna, I like I said to you, I definitely appreciate when you called me last week after our class last week, after that session with Steffi. Thank you for calling me and telling me pretty much you're too smart for your own good. Like, shut that off. I appreciate you calling me and telling me that, because they said, like I said to you, for some reason people feel like they can't tell me how it is. I appreciate Aviva being that person who talks to me and tells me, like, chill the hell out, like, sit down and shut up, because not too many people feel like they can tell me that. I appreciate you kind of reaching out and saying, like, shut that crap off. And because it helps me see that, I think that, you know, we have different types of intelligence, right? I think that because I'm an old soul, I kind of tend to float like goo goo gaga over there, you know. And for me to be grounded in just basic human intelligence is hard. I am more of this emotional intelligence, you know, like I know how to help other people, and I'm all in my kind of this floating over there. And when people feel like they can tell me to just kind of calm down and sit your ass down, that helps me realize that I need to really just kind of disconnect from that and be just a normal human, and allow myself to just kind of feel that fear and process it in real time. And because this is reality and this is some other stuff that's floating in my head. I don't know what I just said. I think I just kind of try to, again, bring that floaty stuff into. So I appreciate your feedback, basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. But
Thank you.
But you know what? You know, when you talk about that floaty kind of stuff, Lena, you know, you're not someone who is that way in your real personality. It's only the fear that brings that out. And when you're with us and when you're commenting on other people and understanding them, when you're a therapist for others, you are very grounded, and you know you really help them get grounded. You know, so it's something that you can easily access. It's not just oh yeah, I need someone to help me get grounded. They're able to do it because they can tell you, kind of shut up, just get rid of that. But you're able to hear it also pretty easily, because that's really who you are, and the part of you that goes off out there is not really who you are. That's more the fear coming in. That's what I think.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks,
Does
you
that make
guys. I
sense?
don't know
Does that
what
make
we're gonna
sense to
do.
everybody? Does that make sense to everybody else?
I wanted to
Yeah, I
say
don't know
that
what we're gonna do after
very
this class
much.
is done.
No, I agree with you. Sorry, that Batya, that
Yeah.
also from my conversations with Lana, and we do talk a little bit. You are a very grounded person, a very realistic person. That's your base, but you're also a spiritual person.
Right.
I think what you regard as the floating is because you have so many thoughts in your head, partly because of your intelligence, you know, you think, you question, part of the knowledge you've gained over the years, and also because of your spiritual interests, you know. I won't say ADHD, because ADHD symptoms can also come from childhood trauma. And I mean, I've always got thoughts, conversations, drives me crazier. So as Butcher said, you do come across as very grounded, but you don't have to be either or. You can be both.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say that you're floaty.
Right. Yeah.
Well, thanks,
So,
guys. I appreciate each and every one of you, and you know that. Thank you.
so I think we'll finish it up with that,
Yes, thank you.
and it's my wish for you that you know, as Pan was saying, and as Anna mentioned also, you know, you work through the dream that helps you to release it. So I just wish that's this process today will help you with that, and you'll continue to use all of those gifts that you have and all those strengths, you know, to take the best out of it for your own good.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much.
Okay, how do I stop this? How do I stop the recording? Oh, there you go.